Mrs. Clark, Ms. Leyden, special guests, members of the SGB, past learners from Westwood Girls High School, staff and ladies. Today is both a special yet a very sad day. It is always a wrench to say goodbye to members of staff who have served the school with the kind of distinction that Mrs. Clark and Ms. Leyden have served the school. But it is very much a celebration of everything that they have done for us and of everything that they have meant to us. So I know that Ms. Leyden will get quite irritated with me, because when we had Ms. Johnston as principal, Ms. Johnston used a lot of quotations. A lot, like yay lot. But I do feel that, and I will explain this later when I have a chance to talk a little bit longer, that some of these quotations I have chosen really do apply. So I'm going to quote William Arthur Ward, and this applies to both these fine women. The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires. And I will leave that hanging because it is my pleasure in saying goodbye to Ms. Leyden to welcome Michaela Swan to the podium. Michaela.
Good morning, staff, students, guests, and of course our special guests, Ms. Leyden and Ms. Clark. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Ms. Leyden and how much she has meant, not only to me, but to all the pupils that she has taught over the years. Ms. Leyden was my history teacher for the last 3 years, and I could not have been luckier. History with Ms. Leyden was always one of my favorite classes to go to. In many ways, I enjoyed history this year more because Ms. Leyden was my teacher than because of the actual subject. And that's saying a lot because I really love history. As many of her students will attest to, Ms. Leyden has a way of making history come alive. One of the things I've always admired about Ms. Leyden when she teaches is that she doesn't need to refer to her notes to teach us, because she knows the content that well, and because she just loves to teach it. She often intersperses our lessons with hilarious or interesting stories that are relevant to the topic, that either come from her own experiences or just interesting anecdotes that really make the content come to life. Especially on topics such as recent South African history, I remember we'd spend whole lessons just asking Ms. Leyden about her own experiences during these times, and she'd tell us unbelievable and fascinating stories about her life. Ms. Leyden has this gift of making even the driest topics come to life, to the point where even the Great Depression, which lives up to its name, was palatable. This is because not only does she teach history, but she loves history. And I think I speak for a lot of her students when I say that she taught us to love it too. Ms. Leyden as a teacher is one of the best kinds. Not only is she passionate, but she's also relatable. And she's always up for a chat or a laugh about something or other. She always jokes with us about her complete hatred of anything technological. And I think we all enjoyed helping her turn her computer on or open an email on her phone at some point. I always love getting messages from Ms. Leyden because despite her adopting the term BBC, or born before computers, she is a master texter. She knows all the SMS shorthand, like using a for in the word before, or to in the word tomorrow, and some abbreviations that even I, as a teenager, haven't thought to use. When it comes to history, Ms. Leyden is like no other. I really have been lucky to have her, and I definitely wouldn't have achieved the marks I did in history without her. This is also partially thanks to her awesome and highly prized history summaries, and her iconic, exuberant handwriting. I can honestly say that I speak for everyone in our class when I say that those summaries saved our lives during exams. She also really cares about her students, and she is always up to help you if you're struggling with a particular topic or if you want your essay checked, and you can always count on a witty comment or two at the end of it. Also, for those of you that take history, don't confuse guerrilla warfare with guerrillas, because you will be teased about it. Whenever we had a lesson before break, Miss Leyden would always leave a couple minutes early in order to miss the ankle biters, or, in other words, to escape to the staff room before the masses of grade 8s overrun the corridors. I have so many stories to tell about Miss Leyden, like the time I ran into her at the shops and she refused to let me look at her because she didn't have her makeup on. Miss Leyden, you really are beautiful with or without your makeup. Again, I digress. As you can see, there really is a lot to tell about her. Some of the ways her past pupils and present pupils have described her are a legend, an absolute gem, best teacher ever, a fave, and as someone put it, probably the only way I found interest in history. I personally think a great way to describe Miss Leyden is that she's just so cool. Like, there isn't anyone else I know that can rock wearing a lab coat just because. There really isn't anyone like her, let alone another teacher like her. Miss Leyden, I wanted to speak today to try to express some of the amount of the immense gratitude and inspiration I have for you, and admiration I have for you. You really have been an inspiration to me, and you've left an impression on me. And I will never forget you and the things that you've taught me over the years that I've had you as a teacher. As much as I'm going to miss this school, I'm really going to miss you. It was an honor to be in your last matric class. Thank you for staying for this last year, and thank you for being one of the highlights of my schooling career. I speak for everyone when I say that you will be sorely missed. Westville Girls really won't be the same without you, Miss Leyden. I hope you enjoy retirement and the fact that you will never have to walk up all those stairs to the history office again. You deserve the best, Miss Leyden, and I hope this new chapter of your life is just that. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Mrs. Karen Johnson retired from Westville Girls High School at the end of 2019 after 45 years, I think, of incredible service to the school. And when she left us, we had a similar assembly to say a suitable goodbye, and Miss Leyden spoke. And today is Miss Johnson's turn to reciprocate. Of course, Miss Leyden and Mrs. Johnson, when they taught here together, were joined at the hip. And they're not just firm friends, but esteemed colleagues, highly regarded in the history circles as being, if not the best, some of the best teachers in this country. So, Mrs. Johnson, over to you.
I'm not sure what grades are here, but 10s and 11s. But I began what I'm going to say about Miss Leyden by saying some of you are probably wondering who I am and why Mr. Untight would ask someone who is no longer teaching at Westville Girls to address you on this somewhat historic day. Miss Leyden finally retiring. Well, Miss Leyden, Patricia, and I have a very long history that spans about 45 years. Don't worry, I'm certainly not going to give you a detailed account of that lengthy history, although there is much to tell about Miss Leyden, but I will attempt to keep this relatively short. What I am going to do is reinforce what many of you, staff and learners, already know, and that is what an amazing, unique character and special person Miss Leyden is. As many have commented on the school Facebook page, and as Michaela said, a legend. I won't be merely providing the facts regarding what an amazing person she is and the incredible service and industry that Miss Leyden has given to and put into this school, and the history department in particular. Of course, that aspect of her career at Westville Girls High is immense, and I know greatly appreciated by the school as a whole. And I will be making reference to that later. But initially, what I am going to say goes much, much deeper than that, and to an extent is very personal, but epitomizes Trish, the amazing, unique person she is, a true friend and a valued and much-loved colleague. The fossils, or dinosaurs, as we were so frequently referred to as, and hopefully fondly, our friendship began in 1977. Now you know why we are fossils. Whilst I was doing my teaching prac here, and Miss Leyden was in the history department, I joined the permanent staff a year later, and so the fun began. I will, however, refrain from telling you about all the shenanigans we got up to as young teachers. Suffice to say, although obviously our focus was definitely on the job at hand, in other words, teaching, there was much mischief making. There's one thing during those early days, however, that I will be eternally grateful to Miss Leyden for, and that is that about 5 years into our teaching careers, she sadly decided to leave teaching and explore career options outside the school environment, which gave me the opportunity to slot into her post in the history department. Although, as I said, we were all very sad to see her leave, I will always be indebted to you for that, Trish. Although it was some years before Miss Leyden returned to Westville Girls High, throughout those years when she was editing or proofreading for Republican Press and teaching off and on at various other schools, we remained good friends. On Miss Leyden's return to Westville Girls High some 18 years later in 1999, we embarked on a wonderful journey that cemented our bond not only of friendship, but as colleagues in the history department. As Mr. Untight mentioned earlier, we became joined at the hip. Trish, we have laughed till we cried and had mascara running down our cheeks. We have argued and had disagreements, tolerated each other's moods and ups and downs, but our support, care, and empathy for each other has been unconditional. As friends and teaching colleagues, we have made so many memories together, and I want you to know what a wonderful gift your friendship is to me, and I thank you for that. You may be retiring from Westville Girls High, but a new chapter is beginning, and undoubtedly, we will share many more hilarious times ahead. We will strut our stuff in sun hats along the Durban promenade, and who knows, may still be picked up by a transvestite in high heels, as we were in Yolandi during one of our many, many marking sessions together, or by two handsome, rather young surfer dudes outside a restaurant in Florida Road, who did a very quick vanishing act when I asked them if they knew my sons, who are also surfers. It appeared they did and promptly took flight. And on another occasion, when asking for directions at the entrance to a school in Stellenbosch on one of our numerous sport and cultural tours, and we were told we could only be admitted to the disco that was being held that evening if we succumbed to being stamped on our wrists. Clearly, the very polite young schoolboy manning the gate needed a new set of glasses. At this point, I do need to mention Miss Leyden's valuable contribution to the extramural program at Westville Girls. Miss Leyden has, throughout her years at the school, always willingly involved herself in both the sporting and cultural extramural program. She was teacher in charge of tennis from 2000 to 2015, and in charge of cross-country from 2009 to 2019. She has given up many an Easter holiday to accompany the first tennis team, and on one occasion the debating team, on sport and cultural tours. and was always a committed and hard-working member of the fundraising team for those tours. She has given many hours of dedicated service to officiating at swimming galas, athletics days, and driving the school bus for numerous other sporting and cultural events. Added to involvement in the sports program, Ms. Leyden has spent many hours preparing learners for the Young Historian competitions, History Olympiads, and History Quiz competitions, and again, given up personal time to take learners away on history tours. During Ms. Leyden's engagement in the many facets of the extramural program, she developed endearing relationships with all participants under her care. And in many cases, those relationships continue to this day. There is no doubt, Trish, your girls appreciated your protectiveness, your care, and devotion to them. Many a year, you were given juniors as a home class, much to your dismay, as you felt you related far better to the senior girls. And yet every year that happened, despite the little ones being absolutely terrified of you, in no time at all, they warmed to you and thoroughly enjoyed their time with you and have some very fond memories of very entertaining moments with you as both their class teacher and their history teacher. Mention must be made here of your hilarious, wicked sense of humor, Trish, which has provided many a lighter moment for both the learners and staff, often during somewhat very tense atmospheres. There are many people that we meet in our lives, but only a few will make a lasting impression on our hearts and minds. Trish, you are one of those people. You have impacted on hundreds, if not thousands, of young hearts and minds, particularly amongst your senior history classes. You have made a difference and created a meaningful impression on the learners you have taught and come into contact over the years. This is supported by the fact that many of your past learners remain in contact with you. Trish, your passion for and phenomenal knowledge of your subject is remarkable, and your contribution to the highly successful history department has been exceptional. Proof of this is the fact that the majority of your learners have produced outstanding results in the matric exams, and those that found history rather challenging were relentlessly nurtured and guided and supported by you, thereby enabling them to produce good, solid results. Your many hours of commitment to the history department and your learners, I know, is greatly appreciated by all at Westville Girls High. You have sacrificed personal time to marking and remarking of practice essays. Your 22 years of matric marking and giving up of most weekends and holidays to schoolwork has gone well beyond the call of duty and is a clear indication of your dedication to your learners. At this point, on a personal note, Trish, as I've mentioned before, we were joined at the hip. You and I had a wonderful synergy, what I view as a unique working relationship. We were interdependent, we complemented each other, and it worked phenomenally well. Your input and hours of dedication to the development of the history department has undoubtedly left a legacy. I personally thank you and know that Westville Girls High holistically join me in saying thank you for your incredible service to the school. It is time for the school to say farewell to you, Trish, but definitely not farewell for you and I. You can now look forward to a future of 7-day weekends. And it's now time for the fossils, Johnson and Leyden, to go out there and make more mischief.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Johnson. And before I give Trish, Ms. Leyden, at least a chance to respond, I'd like to say a few words. So here's a quote, Trish, and I think you'll like this one. A great teacher can teach calculus with a paper clip and literature in an empty field. Technology is just another tool, not a destination. And in the light of what Mrs. Johnson said but the reason I've actually quoted that is because when we went into that dreaded state that we went into last year at the end of March, as you know, the staff at the school continued teaching from the 31st of March, much to your horror, I'm sure. And very quickly, the staff had to get used to a very different way of engaging with their teaching and helping you or trying to help you to engage with your learning. And I recognize that it was our senior staff who took the most strain across this time because their pedagogy, in other words, the art of teaching, had been honed over years and years and years of teaching. And then all of a sudden, they were asked to change this. And I recognize that the toll that it took on our senior teachers at the school, in particular, it took its toll on all the staff. I must be honest, but mostly with our senior staff. And I recall when we all came back to school with just the matrics, I called in each subject team and I spoke to them about their experience of teaching across that hard lockdown. And some of the staff, and mostly the senior staff, became very emotional about it and spoke about the challenges and the difficulties that they had faced. And yet, at no stage did Miss Leyden ever turn around and say, I'm not prepared to do this. So, I'm very grateful to Miss Leyden for many things. I'm grateful for the richness that she has brought to Westville Girls across the time that she has taught here. I'm grateful for the fun that she has situated in many contexts. And because we share a common interest, and I'm not prepared to tell you what that is, we often together in moments of rest. And there's nothing I enjoy more than engaging with Miss Leyden and her incredible sense of humor. So it's true that on the Alma Mater Facebook page, there are many past learners who have responded to hearing of Miss Leyden's and Miss Clark's retirement. And I'd just like to read you a few of those responses. Miss Leyden was the best history teacher. She grew my love for history, wishing her all the best. Cracking history teacher, Miss Leyden. I was fortunate enough to have Miss Leyden as my history teacher for 5 years. Her passion and vigor drove our class debates. I remember also being her tech assistant at times. Thank you, Miss Leyden, for making us interrogate what it means to be better people in society. Best history teacher ever, Miss Leyden brought history to life in every lesson, from standing on the furniture to emphasize World War II moments, to unfolding the dark history of South Africa's past. Miss Leyden is as good as it gets. We're going to miss you, but we know that you have got time now to do the things you love and to spend with the people you care about the most. Thank you.
Well, I guess this is it. My teaching career has come full circle. I started teaching at Westville Girls in 1977, and I'm ending it here in 2021. I don't know today if I'm sad or happy. What I am sad about is that my family from England couldn't be here with me, but I know that Mrs. Vandenberg is recording this so that they will be able to at least experience my last moments at Westville Girls. I was supposed to retire 2 years ago with Mrs. Johnson, and the two old dinosaurs were going to swan off into the sunset together. But I decided to stay on, and I couldn't have chosen a worse time. Because last year, along came COVID, and with it, the dreaded online teaching. This has been one of the steepest learning curves I have ever faced in my career. I often say it has been like trying to write my matric maths exam every day, with probably the same amount of success. I went from the girls having to invite me to the Zoom meetings that they set up until eventually I was able to invite them onto Google Classroom. And I thank all of you who have helped me with the computer for being so patient and understanding. Particularly Denica Chetty, who I have treated as my personal computer monitor this year. Also to Miss Angerpan, who has held my hand every step of the way. I remember one Sunday afternoon last year, phoning Miss Angerpan, my voice becoming more and more hysterical as I begged her, please just talk me through this. And she did. Girls, I remember when I came back to Westville Girls in 1999 to work with Mrs. Johnson, which I'm sure you've realized has been one of the most wonderful work partnerships I have ever had. I remember saying on a daily basis, you are so lucky to be at this school. 22 years on, I'm still saying that. And I want you to keep telling yourselves that. You are at one of the finest schools in the country. You have wonderful facilities, opportunities, and staff who care about you and only want the best for you. Please remember that. I'm also really delighted to have here today my friend Mrs. Margaret Matthey, the history teacher from Pinetown Girls High School, who I sometimes refer to as my substitute sister here in South Africa. We have worked very closely over a good 20 years, and as she always says to me, when things get difficult and I'm in a state, she says, listen, we've done matric marking together. We can get through anything. And she's right. And then, girls, I'd like to leave you with some advice. Cherish the friendships that you make here at school. When I was at school, you know, back when Peter Tief came over the Drakensberg with the Volkswagen, I had a group of friends. There were 6 of us. We're still friends today. We get together a few times every year. None of us feel like we've aged or changed in any way. And this year would have been our 50th matric reunion. Gasp, yes. Obviously, that's not going to happen because of COVID. And I'm so grateful for those friendships that have lasted so long. And I wish that you will have the same kind of friendships with the girls that you have been friendly with here at Westfield Girls High. Thank you very much.
And now I'm going to call upon the young lady on my side here. I'm going to give her a code. Let's see if she can work it out.
On the ceiling if you want.
Okay, so girls, you're too young to know this, but that's a song called Knock 3 Times. And it's from way back when, so I'm another fossil as well. It's a song called Knock 3 Times by Tony Orlando, and that's a song that Miss Leyden and I sang when we were in Venice together. And we were on a gondola, and the gentleman that was rowing this gondola was actually quite perturbed by the fact that we were singing to each other. I don't know if Miss Leyden wants to do a few lines of that song. Miss Leyden, thank you so much. You have been wonderful company to be with. I know how much the girls love you. We all have loved your company, and I know that we will keep in contact with each other. We'll be knocking a few times together as well. Go well, Trish, and this comes with love from everybody. Okay, ladies, if you could please be quiet. We're just going to ask our special guests to join us for a tea.